He's one of those guys that you want on your team. You didn't want to play against him. He has that ferocious mentality to compete.
I practiced and I played like today was my last day. The day you stop training is the day someone passes you. That's been my mentality since I was little, and I don't want anyone to pass me.
He just has to keep the hunger. You know, you have to stay hungry if you want to get somewhere. He's not the only guy that's trying to make the big leagues.
In the world of baseball, this is the promised land. Florida, in the spring. It's here that big league dreams begin. How many teenagers from all over the world are trying to get on these fields? Tens of thousands. And this is the story of one of them, and what it took to go from Mississauga, Ontario, to the cusp of baseball stardom. I want you to meet 18-year-old Josh Naylor.
Ever since I was 3, I had a bat and a ball in my hand, slept with it, played with it throughout the day. I always asked my dad to throw baseballs to me. So, yeah, I mean, I love baseball, and I couldn't imagine a day without playing it.
If people are actually born to things, then Josh Naylor was born to baseball. At 1.5, he was throwing a ball against the wall and catching it. And then there's his pee story.
Me and my dad was throwing baseball to me when I was really little, and I was just hitting it, and my dad was about to pitch it, and I said, stop, stop. And I pissed myself, and then he pitched it, and I hit it over the other house's roof. So I mean, he always reminds me about it, so I think that's pretty funny.
Because you were so little, but you just had to do it.
Yeah, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I didn't want to leave because I wanted to keep playing, or else if I left, he'd forget about it and keep talking. So I'm like, okay, I do it in my pants.
Of course, nobody makes it anywhere in life all by themselves. Front and center for Josh has always been his dad, Chris.
I think that you push your kids into things that you did. I guess selfishly you do that. But Josh is very self-motivated. You don't have to push that hard for him to do what he wants to do.
With Josh in Florida chasing his dream, Dad's working with his next son, 15-year-old Noah.
Try and keep it up.
The Naylor house in Mississauga has always been part suburban home, part baseball incubator. And Chris, as much coach as Dad.
Bang.
My dad's been my coach maybe until I was 14, so he's always helped me and driving me late nights to practice, just me and him on our own in a cage, and he'll throw me like hundreds of baseballs just for me to get reps in, just to train on my own and stuff, and to see pitching.
The work pays off. At 15, Josh is good, really good. He makes the junior national team and travels the world with his bat. And then came a moment at this ballpark north of Toronto where Josh Naylor became a kind of legend in baseball circles.
So we're on this field taking batting practice, so Josh would be at the plate.
Sean Travers was Josh's coach at the time with the Ontario Blue Jays.
So the first ball he hits way out over that walk out there in right field.
Over the fence, home run.
Over the fence, over the bushes, over the walk back there. So it's just an absolute bomb. Everybody's kind of freaking out. Then he hits another one a little bit further. So then the third home run he hits, it goes up and it hits his light standard up here. And wow. you can see the fence is a Major League Park. It's 330 down the line. It's just pretty much the same as the Rogers Center. And this light standard's at least 60, 70 feet in the air. And Josh hit the light. He hit it so hard that it exploded the glass, and the glass rained down on all the kids, and everybody just ran off the field. It was unbelievable.
How special was that home run? Some major leaguers don't hit balls that far, let alone 15-year-olds. Josh wasn't just about talent. He was dedicated, driven. What he wasn't, because how could you be, was a normal teenager. What sacrifices did you make to get to where you are today?
There's a ton of things, the school parties, obviously, birthday parties. Can't eat the same things. I was on a no carb, no sugar, no dairy diet. So I missed out on a lot of things, but I don't regret anything.
As a parent, you want your kid to be the best they can be, determined, hardworking. But does commitment ever become obsession? Did you ever worry about him?
Well, I guess you're worried to a point that you sort of lose touch with, the people in your school, and you really don't have a social life. I mean, he was driven player.
Take the summer of 2014. Josh wasn't hanging around at the beach like most 17-year-olds. He was here at Major League Baseball's All-Star Week. Josh was the first Canadian to ever swing a bat in the Junior Home Run Derby, and he finished second. Suddenly, every scout knew his name. But even that wasn't Josh's biggest day. That came a year later, the day of the draft.
My mom called me upstairs because it just started, and I was excited, but I was really nervous, and I really wanted it to get over with. And I didn't know where I was going to get picked, so it was kind of, every pick was like, I don't know, like, dang, it could have been me.
With the 12th selection in the 2015 MLB draft, the Miami Marlins select Josh Naylor, a first baseman from St. Joan of Arc Catholic Secondary School in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada.
And I got picked, and it was just like everything was released. Those whole months, a whole amount of months were just released because I knew I was stressing. I was trying to be perfect each day up until the draft, and it was all over, and thank God. And I hugged everyone, my mom, my dad.
Josh Naylor became the highest drafted Canadian position player in history. He also got a check for $2.2 million.
Very good.
Thanks.
No problem. Have a good day, guys. No worries. How you guys doing?
I mean, $2.2 million, does that blow your mind?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. It's an 18-year-old with a lot of money, that's for sure. I mean, good for him.
Across the state, the Toronto Blue Jays are getting ready for the season. On the team are two Canadians, left fielder Michael Saunders and catcher Russell Martin. They're veterans now, but once upon a time they were starting out just like Josh. So this is the clubhouse for the Blue Jays at spring training. Russell Martin sits over there, we're waiting for him. We want to get some advice for Josh on what it takes to make it to the big leagues.
He seems like he's a smart kid. He seems like he's got good work ethic. And he just has to keep the hunger. You have to stay hungry if you want to get somewhere. He's not the only guy that's trying to make the big leagues, so.
Michael Saunders was a can't-miss prospect at one time just like Josh, but he almost did miss. It took Saunders years to figure things out.
So let me ask you this, a kid like that, he gets picked 12th overall. Has he made it?
No, by no means. You see first overall picks flame out. It happens all the time. The mentally strong usually are better off than the physically gifted, in my mind, when it comes to baseball. And it's about how many times you can get back up when you get knocked down. And the talent's obviously there, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten taken that high. Now the hard work begins.
I don't think that making it is necessarily the toughest part. I think sticking around is probably tougher, to be consistent at the highest level for a certain amount of years.
And with only 6 Canadians in the major leagues, a kid from Mississauga could feel like the odds are against him.
I got his back, so being Canadian, there's not too many of us, so it's kind of like a brotherhood. Somebody gets drafted or you hear good things about somebody, you're happy for them, and you just want them to do well.
As Josh takes his first steps in the minor leagues, for the first time he won't have his dad around anymore.
10 years ago, you see this little guy playing the game that I love, turning into the game that he loves. It's quite a transition.
What if Josh doesn't make it to the major leagues?
You know what? Great journey, great story. I cherish every moment because of that. Cherish every moment you're playing. You're playing baseball. And getting paid for it.
Will Josh Naylor have a lasting career in the major leagues? Nobody knows. But if the real definition of making it is doing something you love, then maybe Josh is already there.
I think it might be my favorite sound in the world if I hit a home run and just kind of hear the wood crack against the ball, and it's really like a loud boom, and you see the ball just take off the bat, and it's just going and going, and you kind of have a feeling when it's out because you hit it and you're like, okay, I got it, and then you start running. So.
Nick Purdon, CBC News, Jupiter, Florida.